Welcome to Bench to Bedside, a weekly series of live conversations about recent advances in cancer, from the research bench to treatment at the patient's bedside. And now, your host and the director of the University of Kansas Cancer Center, Dr. Roy Jensen.
According to the National Cancer Institute, more than half of all cancer drugs and antibiotics come from chemical compounds found in natural products. Nature is immensely diverse. Researchers at the University of Kansas Cancer Center are exploring what nature may offer to help prevent and treat cancer. Good morning. I'm Dr. Roy Jensen, Director of the University of Kansas Cancer Center. With me this morning are Dr. Shrikant Anant and Dharma Subramaniam. Dr. Anant is the Cancer Center's Associate Director for Basic Science and KU Medical Center's Chair of the Department of Cancer Biology. Dr. Subramaniam is an assistant professor and member of Dr. Anant's laboratory. Welcome, Dr. Anant.
Thank you.
Could you tell us about your research?
Thank you, Dr. Jensen, for having us today. We are really excited. You know, there is a saying, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And being from India, having come from India, our parents, our grandparents, our family has always told us, you have to eat healthy. And also, you have to exercise. So these are the two major basic tenets that we were taught. But food especially is important. And so one of the areas of research that we are following in our lab is to understand why is food so beneficial to us. So some of the things that we have worked on and we have thought about is the herbs and the spices and some of the food that we have eaten in all these years in India and how they may be of really big help to patients.
So Dr. Subramaniam, what drew you to studying natural compounds?
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. I came from agriculture family, and we always cultivate turmeric. It's one of the major crop in my native place. Turmeric has a lot of health benefits. I joined Dr. Anant's lab, and we want to test effect turmeric and its component on colon and pancreatic cancer. And we proved that turmeric and its component, curcumin, shows significant inhibitor of colon and pancreatic cancer growth. That's the reason I was born and brought up in the agriculture family. We want to study the effect of natural plants against colon and pancreatic cancer.
So Dharma is being very humble. Yes, he comes from a very agricultural family, but he actually knows how to grow turmeric. Mm-hmm. So right from childhood, my grandmother used to say, we used to go play out in the ground, dirt and everything. We didn't have all this hygiene and things. And we would always get sore throat, or we'd have GI trouble, some infection, boils on the skin. And grandma used to say, every day you need to take a glass of milk, warm milk, with a spoon of turmeric and a pinch of black pepper. You mix it up and you drink it and go to bed, and the next morning you would be fine. And sure enough, this is an old wives' tale. It used to be. And so one of the first things that I wanted to study when I was able to start my own lab was to understand how turmeric and what is in the turmeric that makes it so good. And who better to work on this than somebody who knows how to grow turmeric, and that's how Dharma came in.
So a big reason why we're here this morning is that you and members of your lab collaborated with KU Medical Center landscaping crew to develop a really exciting project. And could you tell us a little bit about that?
That was one of the most exciting aspects of our being here. I've been here over 10 years, and when I was asked by our facilities department if we could help think about a garden, it was part of the whole campus and what should we have in the gardens. And one of the things that came up was, should we have a medicinal garden, since it is such an important aspect? And why should we have a medicinal garden? And so they did come over, and I was so excited. I said, you know what, more than me, it'll be Dharma and some other members of the lab who can really help you. But The basic reason for doing this is so that when patients are here, we could educate them about the plants, the drugs that they're taking. As you mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, that a lot of the drugs that we have today have come from plants. And so it would be a fantastic forum for them. That gives them a break. They're not in their own four walls in the room. They get to walk. They can come by, sit by those plants. It gets you that feeling of euphoria, the goodness, and at the same time learn a little bit about why those plants. It's the herbs and the spices that are fantastic, and that's why it was done.
Mm-hmm. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Stephanie Webb.
Yep.
And really everyone associated with the groundskeeping crew at KU Medical Center. Since she took over and really certainly since I've been here, she has made an amazing difference in the aesthetics of the campus, and it is in such a much better place than where it used to be. In fact, you're actually proud to bring recruits here and show them how this campus has been transformed. So, Dr. Subramaniam, what plants are in this garden, and could you tell us a little bit about why these plants were chosen and what role you had in that process?
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. We have in our garden turmeric. We isolate curcumin isolated from turmeric. We have another charantin that is isolated from petromelan, and we have another piperin from black pepper, and thyme from carvacrol. And these plants we tested in the lab. We found that it's showing very strong anti-cancer activity in both colon and pancreatic cancer, both in vitro cell culture model and also in vivo animal models.
So if you're just joining us, we're here with Dr. Shrikant Anant and Dr. Dharma Subramaniam talking about their research involving natural compounds. Remember to share this link with people you think might benefit from our discussion. Use the hashtag #BenchToBedside. So Dr. Subramaniam, could you tell us a little bit about your research involving natural compounds and how they may be useful eventually for cancer patients someday?
Yes, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Jensen. We started with natural compounds against colon and pancreatic cancer. We tested so many varieties of signaling molecules and cancer-promoting genes and signal transduction pathways. And one of them is a NOTCH signaling pathway. Our natural compound like curcumin or petromelan significantly inhibit NOTCH signaling pathway proteins and also in cancer-promoting genes. That's the reason we want to test, and this the future, these natural compounds come for chemotherapeutic drug for the cancer patients. Thank you.
So Dr. Nant, ever since you've come here, we've really been involved in an ongoing discussion about herbs and spices and plants that are being studied to prevent and treat cancer. Is it as simple as incorporating these natural products into our meals or taking supplements to achieve these optimal health benefits?
Absolutely. It is not that difficult because, I was, as Dharma was talking about the plants we have here, I was reminded of Simon and Garfunkel's song, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. In fact, they are all fantastic herbs. And if any opportunity we can get to be able to include these herbs in our food, definitely we should do it. In the same way, our lab, my lab, is very interested in GI biology. That includes the colon, the stomach, the pancreas, the liver. And we look for what are the benefits of some of these plants. And that's why we have curcumin, which comes from turmeric, and of course, bitter melon, which is more recently something that we've been working on, is a fantastic vegetable that's good for diabetes, not just cancer, but also diabetes, in addition to pancreatic cancer. The whole is better. So eating the fruit or the root where it comes from, like turmeric is a root, bitter melon is a fruit. The fruit is definitely better because there are additional components in there. They may add to the ability of the body to absorb the compound. Pills are good if you cannot find the fruit or some of these grow in different countries, and we may not be able to get fresh fruit here or fresh vegetables here. In which case, getting a capsule or a tablet that has been made would be great. It would be good to know what's in that capsule or the tablet that you're taking, but definitely, last resort would be to take a capsule. I also talk about the fact that it's a cocktail. It's not just one chemical here and there, so it's having a group of things. So having multiple spices all put together would be much better than any individual ones. Mm-hmm. Remember, I was telling you about my grandma talking about pepper and turmeric. And there's a reason, because pepper has this compound, and Dharma talked about, we're growing pepper in our garden too. Pepper has this compound called piperidine. This piperidine can inhibit, so drugs, natural products are just like drugs, and they're also going to get metabolized, and they're going to be kicked out of the body. Cancer cells are very smart, and to inhibit that ability of the cells to do that, you add piperidine, which is in pepper. That's why that mixture is great. So yes, having it in our food would be fantastic, and having it every day would be even better.
Okay. So something else we've talked about is, why is it that plants are such a rich source of medicinal compounds? How did that come about?
I joke about this sometimes. Yeah. I talk about the fact that plants are stuck to the ground. They cannot run away from their dangers. The dangers can be acid rain. It could be the smoke from all our vehicles that are going around, carbon monoxide. Ozone can be a problem. The dogs can come and pee on them, right? So all of this can be disastrous for the plants, and so the plants have developed mechanism to protect themselves from these sort of dangers that they have. So we have become sort of a parasite. We actually are able to take those same compounds that these plants have developed, and this is not something that the plants developed overnight. These are hundreds and thousands of years of development. Nature is the best chemist. As great as we are in chemistry and in developing new compounds, nature is the best. And sometimes they make the best compounds, and that's why it's so good.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that aspirin is essentially an extract from a natural product.
That's correct. It comes from the bark of the yew tree. Yeah. A lot of our cancer drugs, vincristine and the cisplatin and things like that, we get those drugs. So here's the thing. Sometimes the drugs are not easily absorbed in our body, the compounds that are made naturally. Mm-hmm. And so then the pharmaceutical industry and even our labs, right, we make changes to it because we have understood a lot about the chemistry of how a compound is taken up, how it is shunted out, how it goes to where it needs to go. It's called bioavailability. To enhance bioavailability and to be able to enhance therapeutic efficacy, we make changes to that. Every pharmaceutical company has a division that is clearly doing just that. And our labs are doing the same thing at a smaller level.
Mm-hmm. So we're nearing the end of today's episode, and I'd like to hear from both of you. What are some advances in natural compound research that you're most excited about? And Dr. Subramaniam, we'll start with you.
Yes, Dr. Jensen. We another natural compound from marmalin we isolated from Acyl marmelos plant. That Dr. Nand group and they made a synthetic analogs that natural compound IC inhibitor value is 45 micromolar. Now we made a synthetic analogs. It came out to 250 nanomolar. And this proven is a very strong anti-cancer activity, and also in the bloodstream, it was there 264 minutes. This is a fantastic compound for the future cancer drug.
And Dr. Anand.
Yes, so marmalin was something we discovered. It actually started with my father, who told me I should work on this because he used to sit under that tree. So in India, one of the things that people do is they go sit outside to study. And so he always sat under this one tree. It's called stone apple tree. And he says, did you know it's got such amazing medicinal properties? It's used for GI diseases. Women who have IBS-like symptoms, they use it. But also it suppresses inflammation. Maybe it'll help you in your research. And so we started working on it. And I can tell you we discovered this compound, which is fantastic for us, and we're moving it towards the clinic right now. The other thing is I told you about bitter melon, which is excellent for pancreas, both for diabetes and cancer. And we've isolated a compound there called charantin, and we were looking at that. More recently, for bladder cancer, we actually are looking at cranberry. So, cranberry juice is something that is prescribed to people who have UTI, urinary tract infection. But we now found out that, and this is Dharma's work, with a medical student from KU, Connor, who showed us that there are two compounds in cranberry juice, cinnamaldehyde and cinnamic acid, that has a great anti-cancer activity against bladder cancer. As you know, bladder cancer is the most expensive cancer because it doesn't kill the patient, but people suffer like anything for 40 years, 50 years. And so this would be great if cranberry juice can work and people who have bladder cancer. I would definitely suggest that, but I have to also give a shout out saying if you do take a natural product, please talk to your physician before you do anything, because they need to know what you're taking and what their drugs should not negatively interact with their thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dr. Anand and Dr. Subramaniam, thank you for being part of this week's episode of Bench to Bedside. To learn more about the Cancer Research Garden, visit kucancercenter.org/garden. That's it for today. Join us next week at 10 a.m. for Bench to Bedside. Thanks for watching.